going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Welcome back to another edition of Match Day Reloaded. I started so well. Reloaded. Do I play the intro again? That's the question. Forget it. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Welcome back to another edition of Match Day Reloaded. Live as it gets here in Panenka Studios. Hope you're having a good Easter Sunday if you are celebrating. If you're not, hope you're having a good Sunday. Hope you're basking in the glory of a 2-0 victory at Old Trafford yesterday. Manchester United defeat Everton 2-0 in the lunchtime kickoff. And you know what? Upon reflection, very, very important that we did, because I was under the impression, I really thought that, you know what? We're going to see some of our top four rivals slip up. That's what I thought was going to be the case. I thought Newcastle going away to Brentford, that could be a bit of a banana skin for them. I thought also as well, Tottenham and Brighton, I was hoping for a draw there. And you know what? Everyone did their job yesterday. Now, I was kind of even throwing Liverpool into that. And then I saw the table and I went, ha! So I don't think that's going to happen. But it's really Spurs and Newcastle, and they did their job. So it's important that we did our job yesterday first. And indeed we did. And the only real negative, or there's two real negatives, not that you want to focus on them too much. One, obviously, is the Marcus Rashford injury, and we are going to get into that today. But two, the other one, and it's a good problem to have, is that I can't believe it was only 2-0. How was it only 2-0? We should have been 5 or 6-0 up by half time. And I know people say that quite a lot when you've had a few chances. We could be 5 or 6-0 up. Legitimately, we could have and should have been 5 or 6-0 up. Now, as always on Matchday Reloaded, you can see on the side of the screen, we've got the match stats as they'll be going through. Just if you get bored, but take a look at some of the stats as they go through. It's incredible. 6 big chances missed for Manchester United. It's actually incredible that, again, it was only 2-0. Once it switches in just a second, you'll be able to see the amount of shots on target as well, or shots. Expected goals, 3.64. Total shots, 29, with 11 shots on target, 10 off target. It really is incredible. And no yellow cards in that game, because Everton, they should have had at least 2 or 3. They were vicious. But indeed, we got the victory, and that's the important thing. Couple of super chats right out the gate as well. One from Red Baron says, Michael Oliver, Newcastle fan, still a disgrace yesterday. He bought into Coleman, or as we were saying yesterday, shameless con man, dives against a good team. We would have been punished yesterday. And also says, how can the Premier League claim they have the strongest league in the world when the refs are just so incompetent or corrupt? Spurs game was shameful. Yes, indeed. I saw some of the decisions in that Spurs game yesterday. Baffling. Absolutely baffling. The goal being chalked off, not getting a penalty as well. I just could not believe it. You know what? I think when it comes to all that, we've got to take a step back and stop saying, I speak for myself, stop saying you can't believe it, because you can. you really can believe it, of course, because we see it every single week when it comes to these Premier League referees. They're shocking. They're absolutely shocking. See what you guys are saying as well. Lucas Chan, one of our members, says, good morning, Owen. Good morning, Lucas. Good morning, everyone. Nasi says, good morning, Owen. Lots of happy Easters in the chat as well. Compost Smurfs coming in really, really hard this morning, saying, get the likes up, frauds. Now, I'm not in the business of calling the UV community frauds at 9:04 a.m. on Easter Sunday, but you do you, Compost Smurf. But I appreciate the sentiment, indeed. Get the likes up. Yes, indeed. Get the likes up. We're going to get into some, obviously, reactions and clips from yesterday. We're going to get some reactions from outside Old Trafford, virtually as well. We're going to get some clips from the likes of Flex, KG, Marcel, Mina, Kenny and Miles as well too. We're also going to get some quotes from Erik Ten Hag and some of the players after yesterday's victory too. But as I said just a few minutes ago, I think overall very happy with how it's really turned out this week. I think after that Newcastle game, I didn't do Matchday Reloaded after the Newcastle one because I was operating on like half an hour sleep because of WrestleMania weekend, which seems crazy to think that was 7 days ago already. But after the going into that Brentford game and after the Brentford game, I was a bit, I suppose nervous. I was apprehensive, maybe is the best word. I was apprehensive because I really didn't know where Manchester United's season was going to go over the next couple of games. Because we had seen throughout March a team that was looking tired, a team that was looking leggy, and starting slowly, and that just a little bit of quality was dropping off a little bit. And that was a bit of concern. And our form in the league had dropped off, since that 7-0 defeat against Liverpool. And there was a draw in there, some defeats. And we had the international break. And I think everyone thought, that's going to be good. We're going to get some rest, or we're going to get some players are going to get rest, others aren't. But still, it's going to be good for us. We need a break. And then we come back against Newcastle and we just looked no different. We still looked tired. We still looked fatigued, and we still started slow. And then you look forward to the next couple of games after that. Brentford, and I know it's at home, 2 home games, which is positive because that's where we've been picking up our points this season. But there was concern, at least for me, there was a bit of apprehension. And we've answered it, absolutely answered it in the best way possible. Victory over Brentford, not in the most scintillating style, but got the job done. Yesterday, victory over a side that we should be beating. Make no mistake, I thought Everton were really poor, really, really bad. And if anything, a 2-0 loss at Old Trafford flatters them. Because as I said, in that first half, my goodness me, I thought they were shocking. At the same time, you can only play who's in front of you. You can only beat who's in front of you. And I thought United played some really nice stuff. And honestly, it's one of the more complete United performances that we've seen in a long time. Obviously, we're going to go through individual players this morning too. But I think to a man and to a position yesterday, you would have said that everyone played well. And it wasn't our strongest side either. But every single person you'd go, they played well, they played well, they played well. We're going to be talking about Bruno Fernandes playing a man of the match performance, deservedly so, in that deeper position. We're going to be talking about Scott McTominay playing well, Marcel Sabitzer playing a bit more advanced and that working out for him. We're talking about Jadon Sancho getting assists for the first goal. Anthony as well playing good. Obviously, we are going to talk in depth about the Rashford injury. The defence, Harry Maguire came in yesterday, did okay. Lisandro Martinez being Lisandro Martinez. Aaron Wan-Bissaka playing well, apart from missing an open goal. I would recommend to you, by the way, guys, is if you go back and watch the match view yesterday and you find the part, I'm sure someone at some point will put it in the comments, like a little timestamp of this. But when Aaron Wan-Bissaka misses that open goal, I haven't seen KG react like that often. His headphones just flew off. Disappeared. I nearly said his full name. It was unbelievable. And they did get a point yesterday, didn't they? Where you started to sort of think, are we going to score today? Like, what are we going to do? Is it going to be one of those games? Because even in the second half, when we came out in the second half, so we only went in half-time 1-0, and you're glad you're 1-0 up, but you're still thinking, how is this just 1-0? And in the second half, clearly Sean Dyche had some serious words at halftime, and Everton weren't playing this really naive high line. I mean, it was so easy for Manchester United yesterday. It was so simple and rudimentary. It was literally get the ball, someone like Bruno Fernandes, just stick the ball over the top every time. And because we had a front three that didn't involve Weghorst, that had a bit of pace about them and was fluid, ball over the top, they were just peeling off the centre-backs or the full-backs every single time. It was easy. It was so easy. And second half, they were a bit less naive, Everton. They dropped back a little bit. And for a brief, let's say 5-10 minute period, they started to get a little bit back in the game. And the concern wasn't it, that of all these chances, if they score, if they get something out of this game, what a travesty. But that didn't happen, so that's the positive thing. Let's get some quotes from yesterday's game as well. So Scott McTominay and Harry Maguire, what a pair that is, were interviewed after the game by BT Sport. McTominay said, obviously it's nice to score, given that McTominay opened the scoring. We could have scored 3 or 4 in the first half. We have to be more clinical. I'm sure that's what the manager will say. We wanted to play on the front foot and create chances, and that's what we did. And he's right. He absolutely is right. Obviously, you take the positives from back-to-back victories, getting back on track, being back in the top 4. But I did see a lot of this on social media, and it's right. It's the right reaction, is that you can see why, if we get a striker, and I'm not going to go as far as KG saying we're one striker away, but if you've got a striker, a half-decent one, not even a world-class one, any striker sort of worth their salt, they'd have got a hat-trick yesterday. They really would have, because it wasn't even as if the chances that we had, particularly in the first half, were difficult chances. They were simple chances. They were clear-cut, one-on-ones, just poor finishing. And if you had a Victor Osimhen playing, if you had a Harry Kane playing yesterday, they'd have easily got a couple of goals. Easy. It's not even without question. To the point that when Anthony Martial comes on in the second half, just someone that has a tiny bit of composure, he scores. Why? Because they're easy chances. They're very, very simple chances. So that would be another takeaway. It's just you've got to be clinical, because it's fine. We got away with it yesterday, but in bigger games, Sevilla on Thursday, we still have big games. We've got to go away to away to Brighton, away to Spurs as well. Again, big games that. Play Chelsea at home. I know Chelsea is shocking, but still, it's a big game. You're not going to get that many clear-cut, easy, big opportunities. You're going to have far less, and you've got to be ruthless. You've got to be clinical. If that was Man City or Arsenal playing against that Everton side at home, they would have beaten 7-0 yesterday. Can you imagine Erling Haaland? He raved about him even more this morning. He'd have got 2 hat-tricks playing against that Everton side yesterday. So we've still got big games to come this season, and we can't afford to be that sloppy in front of goal. Obviously, look, we get away with it. It's 2-0. It doesn't matter. But still, the important thing is got to be more clinical. Harry Maguire said the lads started the game on the front foot and were disappointed to go in with it only 1-0 at half time. We were aggressive and we had a game plan. We didn't let them out of their half, and that's the aim at Old Trafford. That's the aim in every game we play. Erik ten Hag spoke after the game as well, said we have to be more clinical and more ruthless, and this game has to be finished by half time, and we didn't. But it is still a very good performance, and it's still a big compliment to the team. When talking about Anthony Martial, he said, quote, once again, players coming on from the bench having an impact and scoring goals. We have many subs who come on this season and score goals. He also spoke about Bruno Fernandes. Of course, Fernandes playing in a deeper role yesterday, in that kind of 8, even at times almost a 6 role, saying, quote, I think he was brilliant and he played brilliant in a deeper role, and even last week against Newcastle, he played very well. And today, brilliant. He was definitely the best player on the pitch. Now, Bruno did get the player of the match, and even the manager is saying best player on the pitch, and it must be said, Bruno Fernandes, in that first half in particular, ran the show. He absolutely ran it. He dictated the tempo. Granted, didn't have a ton of pressure on him at points, but he was everywhere, and his range of passing was there to be seen. He could have had, in talking about the amount of goals we could have had, he could have had 2 or 3 assists in the first half. He was picking out passes. He was excellent yesterday. He really was excellent. Harry Maguire spoke to the BBC and said it was a really good performance, really on the front foot, aggressive. We played in their half and didn't let them breathe. We should have been out of sight, so it's a disappointment we only scored 2 goals. I think every game we want to start like this. We want to be on the front foot and be aggressive. The first half was perfect apart from being a bit more clinical. The manager wants us to be aggressive and dominate the game. The second half we were professional and controlled the game too. He also said, it's great to lead the lads out at Old Trafford and get clean sheet and get 3 points. I have a responsibility to make sure the club moves forward, and that's whether I'm playing or not. I feel like my form has been good for England and Manchester United. Remember, nothing to prove. Nothing to prove from Harry Maguire. He then continued by saying, I respect and know we have good competition in my position at the club. There's 4 top international centre-backs at this club, and we're all pushing to be the best. We need high competition for places. It's great to have Anthony Martial back. Christian came on and really helped us see the game out for us. It's a great boost for us to have them back and available for a crucial part of the season. Now, the big downer coming out of yesterday's game, of course, was the injury to Marcus Rashford. As of this morning, there hasn't really been much more of an update from what we got yesterday from Erik ten Hag after the game, and that was simply, quote, we'll have to wait and see. It doesn't look well. And then he kind of hit out at the schedule in the Premier League, saying, once again, that is due to the schedule. It can't be that you play 3 games in 6 days. We have to protect our players. Everyone wants the best players on the pitch. Everyone wants to see great, entertaining football like today, but then you need your best players. It's too much, especially when you play last Sunday night and then the first game on Saturday. In the week, you have to make up the game against Brentford, the game instead of the Carabao Cup, so you get punished for reaching a final. So it's not right. I don't know, talking about Rashford, it is like that when you have to play so many games in short notice, especially when the schedule is this tight. Players can't recover and you run the risk that players get injured. You have to be aware of that. You can't say exactly what happened, even when you speak to him. We have to wait until tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, then we wait to see the diagnosis. So basically, he says he doesn't know about really the status of Marcus Rashford. It doesn't look good, but also hitting out of the schedule involved there. Now, it's interesting that he would hit out of the schedule because he has been asked a couple of times in the press conferences and he's kind of largely brushed it off by saying that we've managed it fine, all of our injuries. And he was right at the time. The majority of our injuries have been based on bad tackles, not because of muscle breakdown or anything like that. And I sympathise with him because I understand the point he's trying to make. We played the last game on Sunday last week. Then we play on Wednesday. And the reason we have to make up that game on Wednesday is because of his point. We reached the Carabao Cup final. So essentially you're being punished for reaching a final and being successful. And then you play the first game on a Saturday. That is one of those ones where surely the people scheduling that, and it's largely for broadcast reasons, all of those games apart from the Brentford one, was televised. But still, largely for broadcast reasons, and I can understand his frustration. Although some would say, look, that is the price of success. You should manage your players better because of that. Ultimately, the issue is with Manchester United is we've been playing every 3 or 4 days since October, I believe it is. No other club has had the schedule that Manchester United has. And again, that's because of the price of success. It's almost like when they set up this season with the World Cup being in December and all that kind of stuff, they didn't anticipate a club being in 4 competitions come April. Or, I know the Carabao Cup's done, but my point is that, the club's still in 4 competitions. And because and it is a difficult one, because again, I understand some people would say, well, look, if you're going to be successful, that just is what it is, and you should rotate better. But I do sympathise. I do sympathise with what he's saying there, and I understand his point where he says that's 3 games in 6 days, and frankly, there's not a lot of rotation we really could have done because, for instance, midfielders have been out. Players have started to drop out, honestly, recently because of various reasons, suspension and injury, and we've just started to get players back, but we've still got, yesterday we had Casemiro out, we had Luke Shaw out, Alejandro Garnacho out as well. So, again, the hope is, and I was talking to Flex on the phone last night after the game, that I don't think he'll play against Sevilla on Thursday. And no disrespect to Sevilla, but they are not the Sevilla that you think of when you hear, Man United are playing Sevilla. They're not the Sevilla that, Jose Mourinho got knocked out against in the Champions League quarterfinal all those years ago, or the Sevilla that we've played in latter stages of the Europa League or anything like that. They're having a really poor season. And we've beaten better teams in La Liga this season. We've beaten Barcelona, we've beaten Real Betis. They're better teams than Sevilla this year. So we can beat Sevilla without Marcus Rashford, and we shouldn't rush him back for Thursday. That's the thing too. We shouldn't. I would rather get through that Sevilla game because there are still big games to come in the Premier League. There are still big games to come in latter stages of the competition. Even if it was a case of, wrap him up in cotton wool until the FA Cup semi-final, I would do that. Rather than, can we get him back? Can we get him back and then possibly lose him for even longer? But that's just my feeling on it. Let's get some reaction now. First from Flex outside Old Trafford. Here's what he had to say yesterday on United's 2-0 victory over Everton.
Should have been 5-0, 5-6-0. It was chances galore. We absolutely battered them. We were absolutely on them. And I thought that this game would be a more difficult game than the Brentford game. And I was definitely wrong about that. And it was all down to us. I thought the work we did in midfield was absolutely brilliant. The balance was spot on. Everton was so open. There were balls flying in over the top of them. They were so high up. Big gaps in their defence. Sean Dyche will be absolutely fuming with that. And the only disappointment I've got from today, well, too, obviously with Marcus Rashford being injured as well, is that we didn't put them to the sword and be ruthless and be clinical. When teams are like that, you want to absolutely stuff them and send them home packing, and we weren't able to do that. But it's all smiles, man. I thought the football was really exciting. You guys know how I felt about Bruno playing in that deeper role. I haven't always liked it. I don't think it's his best position. However, what I've learned in the last couple of games and what we can see is if he's got time and space to pick his passes and he's not getting pressed by physical guys, and he's getting space in there to operate that deep, he's absolutely fine, and he can actually dictate play, or play passes that hurt the opposition anyway. I think today, when in games like today and against Brentford, it wasn't so much about, tactically brilliant inside there and keeping the ball moving, etc., etc. It was about playing good penetrative passes at the right time. And Bruno really, really did that, especially in the first half, just like against Brentford. And second half, again, so many people have said the kind of phrase, Bruno was everywhere. And he really was. He was fantastic in the second half as well. I thought he was excellent. Anthony, again, at it, making good runs, getting into great positions, and just couldn't find the net. Could not find the net. And you just want us to be a little bit more ruthless, Rashi, gutted. Someone just said that Ten Hag said it doesn't look good, etc. If he's out for a long period, that is really, really going to hurt us, because yes, I believe Ten Hag can find a way, but to replace what Marcus Rashford's been doing for us, there's no one in the squad who can do it. And only one similar is Garnacho, and he's out with a long-term injury as well, even though Ten Hag said that's looking positive. Jadon Sancho, he keeps the ball well, and I thought he did okay today. Anthony works really hard again, but none of them have the X factor like Marcus Rashford did. He gets an assist for the second goal. Should have scored a couple himself as well today. Looked like he didn't have his shooting boots on as well, but still managed to impact the game. But I just hope we're not out without him for too long. It didn't look good when he pulled up. When he pulled up like that, I think Eriksen played him a ball through, tries to stretch to get it, and he pulls up. I think it's his right leg, thigh, groin, hamstring. I'm not sure, but that's going to be a massive miss. And that does leave a bit of taste in the mouth, because you know what? As I just looked at it before that injury came, and you're like, wow, Martial's come off the bench, he's scored, we've got him back. Eriksen's back on the pitch, we've got him back, and you know that Casemiro's coming back in. We just look like we're going, in a positive direction with players coming back at the right time, and that's a tough one to take, that Rashford's going to be.
Big up Flex, as always, outside Old Trafford yesterday. Got a members chat here. David Lee says, been a member for 8 months. Appreciate 8 months support. Says love and peace to everyone on this Easter Sunday indeed. The question is, I suppose then, if Marcus Rashford, if we're saying, and it's very, 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 very unlikely that Marcus Rashford plays on Thursday, and possibly even next weekend as well, what is the front three that will play against Sevilla, and what is the front three that will play in the league in Rashford's absence? This was something else that I spoke to Flex about yesterday, and I was saying that given how United have played the last couple of games, and we've looked more fluid without Weghorst, is it now the time to start Anthony Martial, or does he put Weghorst in? Does he keep the people behind the striker how it was? So is it Sancho? I mean, it's not even really Bruno, because Bruno was deeper. It's almost Sancho, Sabitzer, and Anthony. And then does he start Martial and then bring Weghorst on? Or does he go with Weghorst? Because the thing is that I worry about, when I see a front three that's possibly Sancho, Anthony, and Weghorst, I just look at that and I go, where are the goals coming from? Like, where are... Because those three players are all players this season that we've said... they're not really contributing a ton of goals, really, in particular. I mean, Anthony's got some important goals, like the goal against Barcelona. Jadon Sancho, I thought, played really well yesterday, and we'll talk about him a little bit later on. He got an assist, but I do look at that and go, oh, that might be a bit challenging. So do you go with, as I mentioned, Sancho, Anthony, Martial, knowing Martial isn't going to play the full 90? It's going to be 45 or it's going to be 60, and just hope he gets through it. Is that really what we're going to be going for? Let's see what you guys are saying. Jason says Sancho, Martial, Anthony. Lil Yo-Yo says Anthony in Europe though, Owen. And no, look, again, as I said, Anthony has scored big goals in Europe, but I just think in general, from a game to game basis, because we're still at that stage of Anthony, you can't go into a game confident that he's maybe going to really impact the game. Last couple of games he's played really well. Last 3 games actually he's played particularly well. But I'm talking like no one can make up what Rashford has done this season in terms of what he's contributed. He's basically scored the majority of our goals. Like literally. And I think it's wild that people have, and Sashif says Sancho, Martial and Anthony. I think it's wild that people have the nerve to try and put down Rashford this season and still say he's not good. When, as I said, I think he's 1 goal away from scoring the most goals of any player in one season since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. Like that's pretty significant. And again, it also goes back to what Bruno Fernandes is going to be doing in Marcus Rashford's absence too, because it's interesting him playing in that deeper role. As Ten Hag said in his quotes after the game, he was excellent. For me, clearly and easily player of the match yesterday, and he rightfully so got that award. And we have spoken recently, haven't we, about what do we think about him in that deeper role? Is he as effective? Can he do it in the deeper role? And maybe in the absence of Marcus Rashford, you just have to put Bruno Fernandes further forward again, just for a goal-scoring reason. When you've got Rashford in the team, when you've got Martial in the team, got to remember as well, Christian Eriksen's coming back as well. So Christian Eriksen, you can kind of put Eriksen in and then I suppose push Bruno up, which I think he probably will do, actually thinking about it a bit out loud here. Because Eriksen came on yesterday and my goodness, we've missed him. Oh, I mean, earlier on in the season, prior to really seeing the impact of Casemiro, because remember for Casemiro, it took like sort of 5 or 6 games for us to really see the impact that Casemiro was having. It took him a little while just to adjust and get used to everything. And there were some actual questions a little bit about him. During that period of time, we were like, man, Christian Eriksen is the real deal. Not that we didn't know that, because we've seen him in the Premier League for years when he was playing for Spurs, but I said this when he first got injured against Reading with that terrible tackle by Andy Carroll, that I don't think people are almost giving him the credit that he deserves, or I think people are underemphasizing how much of an important miss he's going to be. He can do things in that Manchester United side that other people just cannot do, and he makes it look easy. Yesterday, once again, he got on the pitch. It's just he'll receive the ball here, and on TV or in the ground, you can see the player behind him, and you're just thinking, just reverse pass. But a lot of players, they can't see that. They don't have the vision that Christian Eriksen does. But he's always scanning. He's always looking around, and he knows the player's there, sometimes without even looking. Without even having to look, he just knows the player will be there, and it's literally one touch reverse pass. And it just opens up the pitch. It opens up situations that just no one else in our squad can do that. Even decent passes, people like Bruno Fernandes that can create something out of nothing. Christian Eriksen is arguably the most technically gifted player in our side. And you just saw it when he came on yesterday for like 15 minutes. Like, literally 15 minutes. And he progresses the ball so well. And having him back is just going to be so important. It's going to make such a massive difference. Of course, Casemiro's back as well. I don't know whether the next time they'll start together. I'd be surprised if it was Casemiro and Eriksen, honestly, on Thursday. Again, I don't think it's the right time to rush into things, particularly with some of the big games that are coming up. But my goodness me, we have missed Christian Eriksen. And also, what we had seen earlier on in the season as well is the link-up between Christian Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes. We had said this previously, hadn't we, prior to Eriksen arriving at the club, is that imagine Bruno had those midfielders that could actually find Bruno with the pass. I mean, Eriksen's sometimes the pass before the pass. We've said Bruno's the pass before the pass. Maybe Eriksen's the pass before the pass before the pass. You know what I mean? And just having that ability to link up, having those technically gifted players is just such a massive boost. So I think maybe in the absence of Rashford, to you guys' points in the chat where you're saying, well, Bruno, obviously, he contributes with goals. It might be a case of, well, actually now, Bruno once again goes further back up the pitch. He played well in a deeper role yesterday, but Eriksen's back now, so he can sort of fill in that role too. And maybe that's sort of the right way to look at it. But it's going to be a massive miss, Marcus. Of course it is. It's going to be a huge miss. And the positive way, and if I was a player in that squad, not that you'd celebrate anyone getting injured, or especially a teammate, but you'd have to look at it and be like, right, okay, I take this on myself now. I've got to contribute. I've got to step up. There's an opportunity here for me to really step into that position, and that's what someone has to do. Lil Yo-Yo says Sancho has a huge opportunity now, has to take it. Exactly. And also I think we have to manage expectations. Sancho will not come in and do what Marcus Rashford has done this season in terms of goal scoring, but he can contribute. He can set things up for others. And it's now time for people to step up. Absolutely. So here's hoping that they do, certainly, as well. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Already, we've got nearly 500 watching, under 100 likes. We can do better. I know it. Even I know it's Sunday, it's a bank holiday weekend. People are probably hungover. It's a beautiful day, by the way, as well. I nearly broke into song. But if you haven't already, click that like button. Let's get some more reaction. I spoke to KG after the game. Here's what KG had to say. Feeling coming out of that one?
I feel great. No, I'm playing. I feel wicked, man. Today was a great result. We needed that. Man United, to say, can we do it without Casemiro? We finally ended that. Not saying ended that drought, because away we need to win with Casemiro, stuff like that. But that's another issue for another time. But again, Man United showed up today. Everton fighting for their lives. Relegate. You don't want to play these sides that are in relegation battles. They're going to give it all. They're going to give it everything. But Man United was in full control. That first half was a real controlled half, and players. I always talk about passengers and players not being involved. Today, you can't say there's a passenger. McTominay, big game. Sabitzer, big game. Bruno, big game. There's all those guys, and that's the midfield department. But what I liked about today was we bypassed the midfield a bit, and we didn't waste time just playing between there. We said, you know what? Hit it long. They're open. We found the weakness and we exploited it. Man, did we exploit it, but we just didn't have our shooting boots.
Yeah, exactly. And to your point, it was Scott McTominay who actually broke the deadlock, probably the name you wouldn't expect. Just how actually good was he today? I mean, we've criticised him a lot recently, questioning whether he's good enough. But is this the kind of game for him? Is it these kind of games, the kind of midfield battle games?
No, because if I had someone else, he'd be in, right? But I do like these guys off the bench. I don't know if Scott is one of those players that you say, with rhythm, he could come in and be a force and this, that, and the other. Just obviously, I want our team to go to the next level. So I won't go crazy with the Scott McTominay praise. But I can say that today, he was what he needed to do. Very physical, very tough in there, and a lot for them to deal with. You say these Sean Dyche side, that's a chip of the old block. Sean Dyche would love him in his team to be in there, like battling again. There was a lot of tackles that people should have been yellow carded. He's been clattered quite a few times, never complained, got up, carried on running for the team. So that's one of the things that you can say, has worked. And I think Sabitzer finding his form, and it's harsh for him because he has to now adapt again. Now, the return of Eriksen, what does that mean for minutes? Luckily, Sabitzer's found his form now. He's been really good, actually. Like, if I'm being fair to Sabitzer, really smart, very intelligent player. Not that we wondered about him, but was like, have you added enough yet? Since you've been here, what have you added? And again, he's been unfortunate because of injuries and this, that, and the other. He hasn't been able to play his true position. But now we're starting to see the team kind of playing through him, trying to understand, using his strengths, using what he does well. We're starting to see our team really understand.
Big up KG. This is a bit of exclusive breaking news this morning. Obviously, KG, on his channel, he has the Hate Along, and he's actually traveling back to the UK today. So he cannot do the Hate Along for the Liverpool versus Arsenal game. However, there is a guest host on his channel, and I wonder who it could be. Maybe you'll have to stay tuned to his channel to find out, certainly, as well. KG spoke about Scott McTominay and Marcel Sabitzer. And I do want to talk about them both today because they got a lot of criticism against Newcastle. And deservedly so. I thought they were both really poor. In particular, Scott McTominay. And it just goes to show with McTominay, isn't it? That's the issue, is you never know what you're going to get. I thought yesterday, like he was against Brentford, in the week, I really praised Scott McTominay because against Brentford, it was a battle in the midfield, a real battle, and he put himself on the line. He got in big tackles, big blocks, and he was excellent, and he did a really good job. And yesterday, look, when no one else could, I guess, put the ball in the back of the net, he just kept it very, very simple for his goal. I mean, Jadon Sancho, I think, deserves a lot of credit because he finds McTominay with the pass. But make no mistake, it's not an easy finish. He's on the half turn. He just puts his foot through it. And that's what I was begging everyone to do yesterday. None of the sort of try and guide it, finesse. Just put your foot through it, put it past Jordan Pickford. And that's what McTominay did. But in the second half, where Everton grew into the game a little bit more, again, I thought he was excellent. I thought he did really well. I don't know how. the Everton players didn't get booked, because a couple of times they went through our midfielders. Shockingly, Michael Oliver didn't give a yellow card, but I thought McTominay did well. Not enough to be like, oh, Casemiro's back, Eriksen's back, but McTominay's playing great. So because of that, I don't know. I'm not sure. So, yeah, I thought McTominay played well. Marcel Sabitzer, KG pointed him out there. I think he deserves credit too. And I think he's clearly starting to grow in to his Manchester United role. I think that's fair to see. It's taken him a while. Coming in on loan in January is always tough, because it's midway through the season. There's a lot of games around that period of time, and there's almost this expectation that you're going to have this immediate impact. And sometimes that's just not the case. Sabitzer, it's taken him a few weeks. Well, in this case, he came in January, a couple of months to really start to show what he's capable of. And maybe he was a little bit miscast, honestly, because we sort of thought we were getting this more box-to-box, all-action midfielder. And he can do that, but I don't know about you, but the more I see him and the more I watch him play for United, the more advanced he is up the pitch. I think he's far more influential and far better in that role. And we saw that yesterday, again, with Bruno playing deeper. It was almost like him and Bruno swapped roles. Bruno was deeper, Sabitzer was further forward in the same way that he was against Brentford, and he just affected the game much more positively. And he does have energy, and as I said, I think he is starting to find some form of match rhythm. It's going to be really fascinating to see what his role is going to be now that Eriksen and Casemiro are back. Is he going to be just holding the bench most of the time, or are there going to be games where it is Casemiro, Eriksen, and Sabitzer? Are there going to be games where it's Casemiro and Sabitzer? Are we going to see that when we need a bit of extra bite in the midfield? So that's going to be fascinating to see. But I think, yeah, the midfield deserves credit, because I thought they played particularly well yesterday, certainly. Let's get some more reaction, this time from Marcel. Flex spoke to Marcel outside Old Trafford. Here's what Marcel thought of United's victory.
Exciting football today. Really, really exciting, man. I can't believe how I'm surprised how well we came out today. I mean, I feel like maybe Sean Dyche was a little bit naive that the Everton line was so high up, but the way that we had our team set up today was like a perfect counterbalance to what they were trying to do. They were high up. We had Bruno deep in deep areas, and he's so good at starting those counterattacks for us. Brilliant set of long passes over the top. Anthony getting opportunities, getting joy. Rashford getting joy. Couple one-on-ones over the first 11 minutes or so, Flex.
Yeah.
And we should have been, like you're saying, the goals was what was missing today, you know. And when you look at us in the table, you know, we're the only team in that top 6, top 5 that haven't got maybe double figures goal difference. Everyone else is 25, 30. So we really need to be scoring more goals. Everyone was rash in front of goal. Funny enough, pun intended.
Yeah,
Rashford was a bit frantic.
Just snatching at the chances, isn't it? The two where Rashford's clean through, you're thinking, oh, he's got to score.
Yeah.
The Anthony ones, you're like, oh, I got to score.
Great assist by David De Gea.
Yeah. Well, you know, listen, I don't want to talk about that.
Right.
I don't want to talk about that.
I can't you talk, bro. I can't you.
You could talk about it if you want, but no, I'm joking. No, it's true though. Another ball. I mean, listen though. I mean, it was hardly. And I always want to defend De Gea, but one kick straight, Everton wide open. Yeah. One thing you don't attribute with a Sean Dyche team is being that open. Yeah. You know what I mean? And literally, Maguire hit one where for Rashford where he was clean through, where it was a clearance, but all of a sudden Tarkowski Coleman misses it, then Tarkowski can't win the foot race. They were just so open, but we just kept creating chances after chances after chances.
Credit to our kind of mentality as well. Our approach to the game. We wanted to fight for everything. Anthony was fighting. Sancho was even fighting at times, man. And maybe not winning the fights against Coleman, but we're still there competing. I think Sancho was good today. And I don't usually say that about him, you know. He wasn't willing to take people on a 1v1, but in the tight spaces, in the pockets, he's brilliant, man. I think, again, Ten Hag really set us up to allow players to do what they've done well. Scott McTominay today was brilliant, but it's not like he was part of the build-up phase. Bruno handled that. Bruno take care of the passing with Martinez.
And put Sabitzer and McTominay further forward.
Just further forward and focus on making those late runs into the box. I mean, the Times has run well for the first goal to open the scoring for us. And we were doing that a lot of Pickford, you know, we want to talk about goalkeeping displays, Flex. I think Pickford was brilliant today.
He made a lot of big saves.
Lots and lots of big
saves.
Some
that I'm annoyed that we allowed him the chance to make a save, because I think you should bury that or hit a corner. But yeah, he did make some big saves.
Really, really good saves. And that first half for me, the display of the team, to only have 1-0 as the result,
Yeah.
I was really worried. I was thinking, okay, 0-0 is going to be, you know, Sean Dyche might just try and throw everything at it and cause us a bit of a problem.
Scott comes through.
Scott comes
1-0.
through. 1-0. Second half now, we kind of just tailed off a little bit, man. The impetus from the game died off. I think Bruno was dynamic throughout the whole game and was running about the pitch everywhere, but he kind of tailed off a little bit.
He didn't
Big up Marcel. And you know what? He gives credit for David De Gea nearly getting an assist yesterday. And I don't want to go too much down this rabbit hole with David De Gea or anything like that, because I've noticed that the more you talk about David De Gea, the angrier people get. It's funny how these things work out, isn't it? Because there are flashpoints and players throughout the season that if you talk about, people get very upset and very angry. Earlier on this season, it was Cristiano Ronaldo. Heaven forbid you say anything negative about Ronaldo, you would be given a list of accomplishments. Same with David De Gea. In terms of praising him, you are then thrown a list of stats at you. And what I would say in response to this is that if you want to talk about stats, in my opinion, that really matter. David De Gea, with the clean sheet yesterday, is now tied with Nick Pope for the most Premier League clean sheets this season. That, to me, is the stat that matters arguably the most, because that. And what's crazy with that is I've even seen this already, is that people are saying that's not De Gea, that's the that's the defenders. Or yesterday, as Marcel points out, De Gea could have had an assist. He saw Antony was free, picked him out. People will say it's a simple pass, but still, a goalkeeper with half-decent distribution makes the pass he does, and Antony should finish it, and he gets an assist. But I guess that would be De Gea's fault as well. I don't know. The point being, I thought De Gea played well yesterday. I thought De Gea's distribution was fine. It was good. And he's keeping clean sheets too. I don't know what more else to say. I really don't, because at the same time, people have made up their minds when it comes to all of this, and that's fine. That you're not going to convince people. I think that's one of the biggest sort of falsehoods nowadays of social media, and even this with football content creation, is you get into debates with people, but you should never get into a debate with someone trying to change their mind, because you never will. The important thing is to try and get your points across, be articulate, back them up with facts and opinion, and then agree to disagree. Because that's all that's going to happen with this De Gea thing. But what I have seen is people go too far. KG pointed out on Twitter yesterday. I saw some people saying, I hope he concede goals and makes mistakes, then I'll be laughing. So you want United to lose? That seems very odd. That seems very odd. I saw the same when Ronaldo left. I hope Erik ten Hag gets sacked, then I'll laugh. Why? What? So that makes you feel better about Cristiano Ronaldo? Very, very odd. Very, very odd decision or thing to say. Let's get some more reaction, because as I mentioned, we've got tons of clips to get into. Let's start off with go to next. Mina. I spoke to Mina after the game. Here's what Queen Mean had to say.
Yeah, it was. We could have had so many more. We could have had so many more goals, especially in the first half. I think the second half we kind of lost that little groove that we were in from the first half. But it's 3 points, 6 points this week. Have to be happy with that, especially with big games coming up for opponents this weekend. So we can start our weekend on good vibes.
Yes, good vibes indeed. Bruno Fernandes gets man of the match today from BT Sport. They were selecting the player. Do you think that's a fair selection on his performance? I mean, you were saying before the game he can play deeper, and I think he showed that today.
Yeah. I think today he played in the 6, he played in the 8, he played in the 10, he played in right wing. Bruno Fernandes is one of the few players in Manchester United that Erik ten Hag trusts to play across different positions. And we saw that today, particularly when he plays in that deeper role. You have to be more disciplined, because you're playing in a more compact area, a more dangerous area. And he showed that today. Defensively, disciplined. Going forward, disciplined. He could have had three assists easily today. With the balls that he was playing to Antony and Rashford, he could have easily had 3 assists. And one thing I like about Bruno Fernandes, and he is criticized sometimes for his performance, but today he just showed why he's important to the team. I think when we're missing Casemiro, obviously McTominay is not a CDM. Bruno, his ability to just drop into that position and play there, and then in the 70th minute get pushed to the 10, and then 80th minute get pushed to a right wing, and just see the game out. It was just a good performance. I'm happy he got man of the match. It could have been McTominay, because McTominay equally had a great game, but also a lot of players had good games. And it's been so long since we've been able to say, 11 men on the pitch had great games today. But Bruno Fernandes, he led by example, and I think he was phenomenal today.
Well, picking up on that then, is that one of the more sort of complete performances from United then that we've seen in a while, in terms of pretty much, to your point, every position you go, everyone did their job today and actually performed well. And even when people say Anthony comes off, they're almost a bit unlucky to, because everyone was playing so well.
Yeah, and I think I do feel like when Anthony came off, we lost a bit of that attacking bite that we had. I think he's underappreciated in terms of what he does on that right-hand side, and people are very critical. He could have had a hat-trick today. He should have buried at least 2 of those chances that he had. And especially, I think, in the first half, we were all over them. We caused them so many problems, playing that ball over the top, beating them at their own game, basically, pretty much. And Pickford had to keep making save after save, and we just weren't clinical enough because we could have had 5 or 6 goals. I think when we came out in the second half, they set up in a different way defensively, where it was kind of man for man. So when Maguire had the ball or Martinez had the ball, they had Onana marking Bruno. They had Idris Gueye on McTominay. They had players marking their man for man, and it just made it more difficult for us to play out.
Did you hear? Oh, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. The clink. That was actually from the video. Yeah. I'm gonna do the appropriate thing, and that's blame Mina. Yeah, it wasn't me at all. Or was it? I don't know. Leave it up. There's no evidence. You're framing me. It wasn't me. The clink was not me. No. Let's talk about Anthony Martial, because we still got plenty of clips to get to this morning. I'm rapidly running out of time. But Anthony Martial, and I always say I'd love to know his goal contribution per minutes this season. Well, I have it. I have it right now. Anthony Martial has averaged a goal contribution every 89 minutes this season. Can you imagine that? 89 minutes. And he hasn't even played 90 this season. Now, Paul Scholes, after the game on BT Sport yesterday, said about Anthony Martial, quote, "If he can stay fit, he will score 20 to 25 goals per season." Do you agree or disagree with that? But as ifs go, it's a pretty big one. It's a big if. If Martial can stay fit, he will score 20, 25 goals a season. I don't necessarily disagree. The issue is the first bit when he says if he can stay fit. He can't. he cannot stay fit. I still don't think between now and the end of the season, and it's not long to go. It's about 6 weeks before the end of the season, but I don't see him playing 90 minutes before the end of the season. I don't. And I know people sometimes they have just horrible seasons with injuries. My biggest concern with him is that it's not been the same injury. It's been different ones. And my hope is also that we've managed to... Look how we're managing Raphael Varane. Varane is fit. He didn't play yesterday. Why? Because Erik ten Hag knows what Varane's body is capable of, and he's seen the injury and fitness issues that Varane has had. So it's just a case of, like he said, 3 games in 6 days. Varane, you can't do it. You're not going to do it. You'll play Thursday. Maybe that's what we need with someone like Anthony Martial. The difference is, with your striker that you're relying on to score 20, 25 goals, you kind of need him to play most of the games, if not all of them. So again, that goes back to the if he can stay fit thing. Now, if you bring in another striker in the summer, which we will, let's say it's a Victor Osimhen or a Harry Kane, and their fitness, well, Victor Osimhen's had a bit of a iffy fitness record. So is Kane at different points, but I think even that's kind of overblown, to be honest. But if you've got them, then you don't have to play Martial every single game. You can keep him on the bench, or you can start him in certain games, and maybe you can manage the load a bit more. It's easier to manage Raphael Varane when you've got Martinez, Lindelof, Maguire, and Luke Shaw that can all step in because of him, and the drop-off isn't massive. Now, obviously, I'm not saying Maguire and Lindelof are as good as Varane, but you get my point. You can do what you did yesterday, and it will be fine. So part of the problem is that Martial can't play every game. And if you try and make him play every game, he will break down pretty quickly. But if you've got numbers in that position, then you can manage him a bit more effectively. So, look, every time he comes on, he either gets an assist or scores. And I think Ten Hag, he backed him all the way from pre-season. Does he regret that? Maybe he regrets it a little bit because we didn't have the options available to us. But there's no doubt his quality, and there's no doubt his ability to score goals and his composure and his finishing, and we saw that yesterday as well. Let's get some more reaction, this time from Kenny. I spoke to Erik ten Hag after yesterday's game. Here's what Kenny thought of United's victory.
Yeah, I think it was a Ten Hag masterclass today. He made a number of changes, a couple of surprises with selections, but obviously with the rotation. We played 3 games in 6 days, and we've another 3 games coming up, in quick succession. So yeah, he made the changes, but I thought the biggest change today that he made and the biggest influence on the game was Bruno Fernandes. I thought Bruno Fernandes in that deep lying midfield was absolutely superb. His transition of play, his speed of the pass, his accuracy, his reading of the game, incredible. Really, really good. Sabitzer was the most forward of the midfielders in the first half, and then we saw McTominay in the middle, but we didn't. It was as if we didn't need the midfield, because as soon as Bruno got the ball in our own, quarter, it was straightforward. And Sancho, I thought, was excellent. His first touch, his control was excellent, really good. Anthony, progressing the ball forward, superb. However, a few words of warning from the point of view that we had a record 21 attempts at goal. And I honestly don't think Pickford made a lot of saves, but we could have saved them, because I thought the finishing was very poor. I did. Wan-Bissaka's miss was luring. Anthony had 2 or 3 one-on-ones. Rashford had 2 or 3 one-on-ones. And to be honest, Pickford wasn't making world-class saves. Most of those saves were straight at him. So they was very, very poor. We still can't get out of the wanting to score worldies from outside the box. And we had 4 or 5 attempts from outside the box in the first half, where if I was Ten Hag, I'd be going mad at them, because every time we go in their box, Sancho in particular, his one touch, his little passes through, he did the assist from McTominay, he split their defence, was excellent. But at the end of the day, we had 21 attempts on goal, and we've complained in the first half. We've complained all season we're not creating enough chances. Today we created them and couldn't score them. But I think from a point of view with regards to confidence going forward into the back end of the season, we've got some really big games coming up. We've got Sevilla. We're going to Wembley in 2 weeks' time. We've got Forest next week. We've got, 2 or 3 cup games. That's massive, that. And if we've got Casemiro coming back, what I'd love to see, I'd love to see Casemiro and Bruno sat right back, because Bruno's passing range today and his accuracy was superb.
Big up Kenny, as always, dropping the knowledge after the game. Eric Ten Hag. And that always tickles me. Eric Ten Hag. I love chatting to Kenny after the game. He's great. So yeah, he was talking, waxing lyrical about Bruno Fernandes. He spoke about the Wan-Bissaka miss as well. Oh. And he played really well yesterday as well, I think, Aaron Wan-Bissaka too. And you know what, it is really interesting, isn't it? Just how far off Diogo Dalot he was earlier on this season. And now, I kind of, honestly, if you said to me, which right back would you prefer to start at the moment, it would be Wan-Bissaka, honestly. It would. I feel more almost comfortable with him. And I think that's a massive testament to him, obviously, and Erik ten Hag as well for getting out of him. But this guy was done. Like, you can't overstress how done Aaron Wan-Bissaka was. They were looking at in January, we'll get rid of him, we'll bring someone else in. And now, even when he didn't play against Newcastle and against Brentford, we're like, oh, that's a miss. Because particularly against Newcastle, you knew he was going to handle Saint-Maximin well. And even in the cup final when Dalot started, you went, I think that Wan-Bissaka will handle Saint-Maximin better. Like, he just... I think it's crazy to see. It really is. And I think that's a massive, massive, massive credit to Aaron Wan-Bissaka and to Erik ten Hag. Because again, I thought Wan-Bissaka did very well yesterday. Also, shout out to Terrell Malacia as well, coming in for Luke Shaw. I'm so happy as well that on that left-hand side, Luke Shaw is still the starting left-back. But when Malacia comes in, I don't get overly worried. You know, like previously, Tellez would come in, you go, Tellez, I'm not sure about him. Terrell Malacia is still young, 23. His work rate is infectious. You know, even if he's not going to be at his best, he is going to give everything. Absolutely everything. And I think he's pushed Luke Shaw into becoming a better player this season. And I'm really happy with those options at left back. I think Terrell Malacia is a brilliant understudy. And I still think he's got room to develop and grow too. So I think he's a real good, strong signing. And as Palmeiras says there, Malacia bargain of the season. And to think he was going to go to Lyon as well, and United hijacked that transfer. Finally, Flex spoke to Miles, bit of a throwback after the game yesterday. Here's what Miles had to say.
A big 3 points, one that was definitely needed, and one that I thought we would always get. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. We're not at our brilliant best. I would say a lot of people will have enjoyed that, but it was just like, man, like, can we just put the ball away? Like, what are we like? 8 or 9
goal difference is bad.
Do you know what I mean? Goal
I don't look
shocking.
at that.
Yeah, it's shocking. It's shocking. Like, those are the kind of games where it's like, all right, cool, just put them to the sword a little bit, and we didn't do that. But it's not all doom and gloom. You got like Eriksen coming back in, and yeah, I mean, I just hope we can push until the end of the season, because it was looking a little bit shaky. I can't lie. Like, obviously dropping from 3rd to 5th. Now you've got like the likes of Tottenham and Brighton behind us, chasing us.
It's got to keep winning in this period, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
that's the key.
Yeah, definitely got to keep winning. But I feel like we put ourselves in this situation. It's like we shouldn't really be kind of struggling with these men. Do you know what I mean? But I guess, you know, there's lots of factors to think about. Not the biggest squad, not the best squad. Ten Hag is doing what he can with this squad. I mean, you see with the likes of Weghorst getting games. All right, not in the last 2 games, but yeah. Definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look, at times he's had to deal with some ridiculous things this year. Yeah. You know, the fact that we can only afford Weghorst for £4 million and get him in, and the fact that we won so many games even with him playing. Do you know what I mean? So, but on the performance today, I know you're saying we didn't finish him off, but in terms of the football we played and the chances that we created, I know one thing is the negative side is we should have scored more. But the chance creation, the defending was good. You know, midfield was good. The balance was good today.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of chance creation. And when you think we don't have Casemiro in the team to help balance things out, who is now back, and you know we've seen Eriksen come back in for the last however many minutes he played. It's to be able to create as much as we were able to create without those 2 pivotal first teamers. It's nice to have them back in our team, and hopefully that will be the boost going forward. Even though we got the likes of Rashford limping off with a groin
that's
injury.
not a bad one.
Yeah, man.
When it's like that, you already think probably ain't going to play on Thursday. Like, do you know what I mean? That's the minimum. And then go from there. Individually, though, you know, there was some good performances today. In a good team performance, there was some good individuals who stood out.
Yeah, I thought Bruno played all right. You know, in a slightly deeper role.
Do you like him though? Do you think he can do it?
To an extent, I prefer Eriksen in that role. To be honest, I like Bruno further forward, creating further forward. But then I don't mind them, like, if they swap on the role. It's very interchangeable 2 positions. I think Wan-Bissaka had it.
Big up Miles, big up Flex, chatting outside Old Trafford yesterday. And yes, all eyes now turn to Thursday. All eyes turn to the Europa League. The quarterfinals, Sevilla. Obviously, we're going to have the full build-up to that. We're going to have, we've got plenty of shows before then. We've got, obviously, morning views. We've got full views. Flex and KG show on Tuesday. Oh, my goodness me. I'm so excited because on Tuesday, FIFA with Flex and KG is back. Now, if you haven't seen the first episode, the debut episode, it's brilliant. Absolutely sensational. I mean, that was drama with a capital D. My goodness me. You've got KG simming the first game accidentally and then claiming he didn't. You've got them losing pretty much every game. You had their last game against Arsenal where they actually played okay. They actually played pretty well. And there was... I mean, Flex says it was a FIFA glitch with that last minute goal. My feeling is that it might have been a mistake from Flex, honestly. But look, they've had time to think about it. They've not been speaking a lot since the first game. I've had my say on it as well, saying to both of them that they're terrible, particularly KG. I think I described his FIFA ability as shit. But here's hoping they can improve on Tuesday. So that's going to be back Tuesday as well. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Wednesday, we're all going to have all the build up to the game against Sevilla. We're going to have press conference reactions, hopefully questions in the press conference. We're going to have preview at Carrington and all that fun stuff. So it's got a big week. And then Thursday, of course, we've got match day. And that goes in to next weekend as well, once again in the Premier League. So a busy and big week coming up here at United View. So be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Remember, you can join the UV Members Club too. Links in the video description. So also the pinned comment in the live chat as well. You get your badges, your emojis, your exclusive members-only content. Hopefully next week as well, well, we're going to be doing another live Q&A because that was so much fun last time. It was a real enjoyable time. I did it with Flex last time. Maybe I might see if I can grab someone else next time. We'll see about that. Speaking of the Members Club, Fiddit's been a member for 3 months. Says, big up United View. It's been 3 months as a member and looking forward to many more with you guys. Appreciate you, Fidit. Appreciate all of the members. And SJ or Steffi Jenks says, so see you at the hate-along, Owen. I can neither confirm or deny. All I will say is check out KG's channel later on today. I can neither confirm or deny any of those kind of things, those rumors, those salacious rumors. Anyway, I'm out of here. Have a great Easter Sunday, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Peace.